Hi, Ron.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Penny?
I'm doing well. Welcome, those of you guys that are watching, to Taming Entrepreneurship, where I get to interview an entrepreneur every week. And the reason I started doing this was because I took the entrepreneurial plunge about a year ago. And I found out that there is a whole community of people just like me that does not have their crap all together. And we can learn from each other. And it can also be a very lonely road. So my heart is that I have some real life entrepreneurs on here and we really just talk authentically and get to share some ideas. So today I have Ron Wages with me. Gosh, Ron, we met a couple years ago from some mutual friends. And I've just recently learned of like what Ron's doing. And we sat and talked for an hour a few weeks ago about marketing.
Yeah.
And he's a genius at it. And so he's uh anybody's a genius next to me because I am marketing socially. I am social media handicapped. I don't know what the word is.
I bet
Um,
you're
I feel, and I'm really excited to have you because I feel like that I am in a whole pool of entrepreneurs that look at social media and look at marketing and just feel overwhelmed. And so I live in the accounting space and the system space. And I just feel I love those things, and those aren't overwhelming to me. But this part of business is overwhelming to me. And so I want to talk to those parts of us today that are like Penny and are like that. So, without further ado, Ron, tell us a little bit about what you do and what you've started and where you're headed in 2025. Like, what's exciting to you about 2025?
2025 is going to be my year of really launching into what God has for me with a plan and with an identity. For the last couple of years, I've just been kind of floating through working in ministry and doing different things and learning the skill set that now God's like, I want you to bottle up what I've taught you and I want you to sell it. Right. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
which reminds me of some of my past endeavors, which we'll talk about later on. I'm pretty sure you've got some
yeah,
questions
yeah,
around that. But 2025 looks like a year of God's promises being fulfilled in the identity of what He's called me to do. I actually just got back from a couple of week vision retreat with a very dear friend that just set me down. It was like, hey, what is the vision of what you're trying to accomplish? And it seems like a really easy question. It's not. It took us 2 days for me to
yeah,
really figure out who I
yeah,
am and where I'm going and what I want to do. And so I'm going to be operating in a couple of different spaces, everything from AI marketing to branding. And I haven't shared this with you yet, Penny, but I'm actually going to sell roofs this year as just another way to
yeah.
bring in money because entrepreneurship is not cheap. It's not
No,
and it's not cheap. All of the
yeah,
systems and processes, especially when you start getting into some of the AI stuff, it's expensive to get the right marketing tools and then to be able to utilize them and steward them well. So I think 2025 is going to be an incredible year of growth and learning and really just solidifying the direction in which I'm going. And when you ask me, like, what do you do? I really still don't know exactly what I do, Penny. I don't. I
yeah,
don't have a bookkeeping company with this service, and that service like
yeah,
ingrained. I'm not at that place yet, but I'm on a journey. We're all on a journey as entrepreneurs. So
yeah.
yeah,
I'll tell you a little secret, Ron.
yes,
I just got off a phone call before I had this before me and you started this interview, and it was like a discovery call. And I've been talking about offering, me and Jonathan have been brainstorming like what do entrepreneurs need. So I've been talking about offering a membership program
mm,
for people to be able to pay us, be a part of our community, the
mm,
1610 bookkeeping community, because I find that a lot of entrepreneurs they have questions. They want to do their own books. They're not ready to do outsourcing, but they have questions. And so they want to be a part of our community where we can share the information that we have, and then they can pop in once in a while and ask questions when they have it. And so we've been talking about that for a while. Well, I was just on the phone with this lady and she was a perfect candidate for this. And so I just went ahead and threw out a price and told her I'd send her an invite to our community.
Come
And
on.
that's entrepreneurship, right? Like
It
it's
is.
just changing on a daily basis. Like, what do I want to do? How do I want to do that this year? And how do I want to lean into it? For me, like people need bookkeeping. It's
Yeah.
not going away. They need accounting. They still have to file their taxes, which is just blah. That is the blah part of my job. What really gets me going is being able to organize things for people so that they only are spending a very minimum amount of time
Mm,
on their finances, but they have a good picture. So I love software and I love processes. I love systems.
mm.
And so for 2025, I'm leaning into that. And like all the product offerings are changing. And as far as I know, every single entrepreneur I've interviewed on here is living that life. Like those product offerings are changing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But if you look at, tell me, like we can think about big companies. Like if I go to Walmart, it's not the same Walmart that it was last month. They're putting out new, like right now, they're putting out Valentine's stuff. They're
Yeah.
going to be putting out Easter stuff. They're constantly changing their product offerings. So to think as an entrepreneur that you're going to get your offerings down and that's going to be set in stone and now we're set,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Walmart's still changing it. Walmart's changing it every day. So if they're changing it every day, then we for sure have to be changing it every day. So I'm excited, Ron, about what you're doing because I know God's talking to you.
Yeah, it's business has always been finding a need and filling it. Like, and people's needs are evolving. Like when we start getting into the AI part of this conversation, man, the needs are changing so much, and what it offers is just changing. People are always asking me questions about that, and it's hard for me to even answer because it's like a better question is not what AI can do for you. It's what do you need done, right?
Right,
Like
right.
because like it literally can do anything, right? But what are your needs?
Can it
And
catch a mouse?
your cat can't. Obviously, we talked about this a little bit before the show started, guys. If anybody has a remedy for a cat that's not a mouse catcher, Penny needs you. Send
I
her an
know I should stop
email.
feeding him.
Yes, stop feeding him. You're gonna have a bloodbath in your house. Let's not do that.
Yeah,
Maybe a trap.
sorry.
I don't know. The cat might get the trap though, unfortunately.
It's terrible. Let's talk about, okay, I have a few questions for you.
Sure.
Um, okay, so I saw a post today because I know that you love branding. That is
Yeah.
part of your and we talk about when we talk about branding, we're talking about all the way branding. We're not talking about some headshots, right?
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
Okay. So somebody posted in my Facebook feed this morning that I came across it and it made me pause as an entrepreneur. So let's talk about it. It said that you need to have your product offerings and your systems and processes down before you focus on branding. And
Okay.
so for me as an entrepreneur, I actually have I have a branding photo shoot set up in 2 weeks because I want to change. I want to really up my branding this year. And I'm paying some good money for it. But for me, it caused me to step back and be like, oh, am I doing all this wrong? And am I doing it in the wrong order? So Ron, speak to that. What do you think? Is there an order?
I don't know that there is an order, and we literally just had a conversation during this live about the fact that we're never going to have all of our products and offerings and everything's always evolving. So I think you should have an idea, right? Like you don't want to brand yourself as a peanut farmer and then start selling cars. Like that would just be weird. But um ultimately a brand is just your identity.
Yeah.
It's what do you look like, what do you sound like, what do you communicate visually and with words, with your website, with how you show up, with the way that you even dress. Like all of it is a brand identity. And so um
That's
your
good.
brand identity is going to a lot of times be birthed out of your personal identity. Obviously, Penny and Ron are never going to be branded as quiet introverts that don't want to talk to anybody because, girl, we cannot keep our mouths shut. So
No,
for
yeah.
us to have like a silent, quiet, meek little mousy
Mhm,
brand
mhm.
would not be fitting for us, right? So really identifying who you are, what your message is. You don't have to have all of your product offerings, right? Um, a perfect example for me, I don't have all of my product offerings together, right? But I know that I want to market and that I want to help people using AI. That's part of my brand identity. When you think of Ron, you think, oh, this is a guy that loves to tell a story, that loves to come up with communication, that loves to make things look pretty and flow pretty and all make sense together. And like that's who he is and where he's going. He's not selling cars. He's not selling peanuts. He's in another
Right.
lane. And so I think some examples of really great brand identities visually, Embrace Grace knocks it out of the park. Yeah, like you see their image, their fonts, their messaging. Even I mean, like you could see certain pictures of women and just the way that they're positioned with the color behind them without Embrace Grace's logo, and you would immediately think of their ministry within our culture. Of course,
Yeah,
they've done an incredible job of really branding themselves well and sticking to it. That's the other thing is, coming up with the brand identity, figuring out who you are, your messaging, your wording, and sticking with that because that's who you are.
yeah,
And not putting yourself up on the auction block and, trying to become everything to everyone in every moment, but really sticking inside your lane. And
yeah.
you
That's
don't have to have your product offerings in order for that to take place. That's unrealistic. Um,
yeah,
yeah. So maybe if you're
and
Nike
yeah,
something and you want to do
right,
that,
right.
that's great. But we're not Nike.
And that they're producing different shoes than they did last month,
Hmm.
last year.
Yeah. I actually
They're getting uglier. I don't
they are
know.
getting uglier. And that little foam thing that shows on the top of the shoe now, like what are they? Anyways,
Yeah,
Nike's an excellent example that's someone of a
yeah,
company that found their identity quickly and they've stuck with it.
yeah.
Just do it. It's
Just do it.
it's it's a
Yep.
message that is become timeless for them because it's something that's not dependent on a trend or a fad. It's never going to go away. It doesn't depend on winning or losing. Just get out there and try is what they're saying. Just do it. Just take the next step forward. And that's a timeless message. And branding should always be something that's timeless, that's evergreen, that you can carry with you for a long time.
That's good. And I bet they've been tempted to change it over the years. I bet there's been seasons in Nike that have not felt like just do it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
But
sure.
you're right. They stuck with it.
Yeah.
The phone call I just got off of, I had a great call with the lady and then she said, "What's the name of your company?" She didn't even know. She got referred to me by a friend. And I told her it's 1610 because Luke 1610 says that whoever can be trusted with little can be trusted with much. She said, "Sign me up. I'm in."
Mm,
And so it's so important because they don't at that point she wasn't asking about the offerings, how much it was going to cost. She knew that I was her person,
mm,
and so it's so important. The other day I got on a call with a lady and she hadn't seen me in a while and she said, "Penny, every time you're on the camera with me you're smiling."
mm,
And I just thought of that when you said that, Ron. Like, my identity, I want it to be a smile every single time. I want everybody to know that when they get on my Facebook they're going to see me smiling. That's so good. I love it. So I think we concluded it's going to run concurrently, hand in hand, that brand. And brand isn't necessarily just a logo or just a text or just a font, but
it's
it's really your identity.
it's who you are, right? It's like
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is who I am. This is where I'm going. This is my
yeah,
brand. It can be just Penny's smiling face, right?
yeah,
And the logo can change and your business could change, right? Like you could go into offering other services that may not even really look like bookkeeping. You could expand and become a whole like
yeah, yeah,
virtual office company that
yeah,
runs the finances and the front desk and all of this stuff, but ultimately your brand would still be the same of like he who is faithful with little is also faithful with much. Trust us
yep,
with a little, and because we understand that, and you can also trust us with much. It's just creating that people know who you are and what you stand for and where you're going.
yeah,
Maybe not what you stand for, like they'll learn that about you, but it's just
yeah,
a not just a visual identity. I think it's also the words that we use. So, taglines are super important. Making sure I was somewhere driving over in North Richland Hills. There's a business. It's a sporting goods store. Maybe someone in the comments can tell me what I'm talking about because I don't know. But the name did not tell me sporting goods store. It said something else. I had no idea what it was, and it wasn't included inside their signage. That is an example of horrible brand identity. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know who you are, and I'm driving along the highway and I see your sign. I need to understand who you are. I need your branding to be a little bit better, to be more inclusive of our,
Who sold them that sign?
right, and who's working on their marketing team. If you work for that company, there's a guy right here that'll help you.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah. I feel like you should just knock on their door and be like, "Hi, I'm Ron. Here's my card." That's so good. That's so good. Okay, here's a question I ask every single entrepreneur on here. I want
Okay.
to know about your worst day because a lot of us go through that worst day and we think, I I've made a mistake. I just, this is obviously I'm not supposed to be here or whatever. What was the worst day in entrepreneurship and how did you get past it?
All right. Before I answer this, I'm going to preface this, Penny. I think that you could do this podcast for 1,000 more years and never hear an answer like mine. And if you do, I feel sorry for the poor chap that gives it to you. But here's my answer. Are you ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you buckled your seatbelt yet? Okay, here we go. My worst day in entrepreneurship was in 2007 when I was arrested for possession of a quarter pound of methamphetamine and over $100,000 in cash. It was a pretty bad day, and it was the day that I realized I had taken all of the gifts that God had given me as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as a thinker in this space, and I had pointed them in obviously the wrong direction. Over the next 15 years, I would spend about 8.5 years in prison as a result of this. And so it was a pretty bad day in entrepreneurship for me. And it's actually something, just for those of you that are listening, I last got out of prison in 2017. And I'll never go back again because the Lord has really changed my heart and the way that I look at things. That's a whole nother story. But um, the effects of what happened in 2007 are still walking with me today. I mean, literally, if it wasn't for
Yeah.
just incredible people like Penny and Charla and Samantha Golden that have like pushed me forward and said, "No, Ron, go, go. It doesn't make sense. Go. I'm going to hook you up with this person. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do
Yeah.
that. We see this. We see this. We see this." I wouldn't be here today because that monumental failure um, marked me. But then we look at people like President-elect Donald Trump. He has failed so many times. Yeah, he's a
Yep.
billionaire now, and
Yep.
he's filed, for bankruptcy. I don't even know how many times, and I don't care what y'all think about him. Whatever. We're not going to go there either. But I'm just saying, like, there
Yeah.
are bad days with this. There are days when you will fail and you will fail miserably. You will fail to the tune of losing everything and going to prison for 8.5 years. And yet, the gifts and the talents that God puts inside of entrepreneurs, they're for his glory and they're for his purposes. And you have to get back up and try again. And obviously, you want to create a legal business like I'm doing now, but it's the same gifts, it's the same talents. I once had a mentor that said he said, "Ron, I've never met anyone that read Think and Grow Rich and built a methamphetamine empire, but I'm I'm gonna just tell you that the same principles are used in the business community for the
Yeah.
mountain of business for God's purposes." And so that was a pretty bad day, but I think ultimately the redeeming thing is when I finally learned about 5 years ago, God really revealed that every single thing I learned in business that was illegal is actually something that I can use today.
Yeah.
These are not wasted lessons. Nothing is wasted. Nothing,
Right.
nothing is wasted. One really quick story because I love the story, and then
Yeah.
and then we can move on. But a couple of years ago, it was Christmas time, and my brother's a chef. He loves to cook, and we were making tamales, and we were um, cutting the husk so that we could
Wait,
make.
If
tamales.
you're watching this somewhere else in the United States, tamales, apparently they don't eat that at Christmas time in other places in the United States. But if you live in Texas, tamales
You eat
is Christmas
tamales at
cuisine.
Christmas. Yes.
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what color you are, eat
It
some tamales.
you eat tamales. It's so funny you say that. I moved up north when I was in my early 20s, and they didn't have tamales on Christmas. I about melted down. But so my brother and I are there cooking, and he said, "Brother, just a few weeks ago, I was with a woman that taught me how to do this, and we were working through some of the masa." And there was a pile that looked like it was trash, and I went to push it into the trash can, and she grabbed my hand and she said, "Young man, nothing is wasted." And he said something sparked inside of me, and the
It's good.
Lord showed me every single time that I've been
That's right.
disappointed, every single time that I thought I'd failed, every single time that I thought I wasn't enough, every single time when I made a bad decision that cost me a lot. But nothing is wasted. It's all worth something, even the most traumatic things that happen to us.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
here we go, Penny. That was my
I
worst
love
day. A
I
whole lot of
love that
things
story. I love that. Nothing is wasted. That's gonna be our thumbnail for this. Nothing is wasted.
I
That's so
love it.
good. So good. Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was AI. So one of the things, it, I mean, we use AI and it's everywhere. And a lot of entrepreneurs are like, how do I use it? What is it? Which one do I use? I mean, if you come to my house, like, um, this is embarrassing. I went to my dad's house the other day and he was having a conversation with one of the AIs on his phone, like a straight up conversation. And I told him, get off of that. That is what friends are for. You need friends. Stop talking to that. So, and he was like, do you know anything about AI? And I'm like, yes, I use AI, but we are not friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I think the older generation is like, I'm like, oh gosh. And I told him, don't ever tell it anything secret because it's not a good secret keeper. So let's talk
Very
about AI. And I know like one of the ways that people are using it right now is like in posting on social media, and people are really irritated, and it's being used to send messages in private messaging, and people are like, we're tired of talking to robots. And how do we use it, Ron, but still show up authentically?
That's a great question. Let's go back. Like, I want to kind of establish a little something, and I was thinking about this morning as I was preparing for our talk today. But a lot of folks are afraid of AI. And if we go back 40, 50 years, a lot of folks were afraid of the computer coming into the workplace. And one example I hear over and over again from that time period is the bookkeeper. We're like,
Mhm.
what are
Yep.
all these bookkeepers going to do? They're not going to have a job because the
Right.
computer's going to take it over. And here we are in Penny's hosting a podcast. And
Yep.
she has a bookkeeping company. So it didn't take your business away. It changed the way that you do business. And AI is going
Right.
to be the same thing. It's not going to take jobs away. It's going to change the way that we do jobs, right? Um, People are going to have to get used to having conversations with AI bots, and they're going to get really, really, really good. Actually, one of the things that I'm working on in 2025 is using AI to help sales teams to warm up cold leads. And so, exactly what you were just talking about, I'm going to be monetizing that in 2025.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
going to be helping sales teams to reach out with messages via SMS that sound exactly like a human. And if you ask them if they're AI, they're going to lie to you and tell you that they are Jill that works in the admin department, right? Because
Yeah.
we're just ultimately, it's really a great use, especially like when we're talking about marketing. Marketing is all about how do we get people that need bookkeeping in front of Penny,
Right.
and not just people that
I
need.
can't possibly send 50 messages a day.
Well, and with AI, we're talking about more like 5,000 messages a day, right? So we're
I
sending
definitely don't have time to do that.
thousands of messages, and 4,980 of them don't need Penny services.
Right.
Now, you would have spent, you just said you can't do 50 a day, but let's just say that you could. right? Think about how many days, like 50 a day, that's 20 days per thousand to get to
Yeah.
5,000. We're looking at like 100 days before you can get to all of those people, to find the 20 people that actually need your services or might be interested. And AI can do that in a flash. They can do it in
Yeah.
24 hours. And so we're weeding out people that are not your target customer so that we can get your target customer in front of you.
Yeah.
Um, it is annoying. I've gotten some of it's just really poorly done. Um, they don't know when to shut the bot off for it to just stop harassing you. You're like, this is crazy. But and then there's so many fake accounts online. I mean, the social media world, it's scary.
Yeah.
There's so much going on. You don't know what's real and what's not, and then people are using AI in very evil ways. AI is not evil. It is immoral. It's the people behind it using it, and
Right.
so we need to be cautious. We need to be careful, and we honestly need to get used to it because it's not like it's going to go away. We
Nope.
can't shut it down. Um, I don't believe it, like in the sci-fi movies, it's gonna like take over and start killing us. It's gonna like build its own
Yeah.
little army and
Yeah.
come after us. Maybe it does, and maybe Jesus will come back and we won't have to worry
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
That's
We have a hope.
we
It's
have
all
a
good.
hope. I don't know about the rest of the world, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I am excited about it.
Yeah.
I think that there's so much that it can
Okay.
offer.
What if there's somebody watching and they're like, they've never touched AI? What's the first step? Like if you're talking to an entrepreneur and they're like, Ron, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What's the first step?
It really depends on their situation. Like I mean, the first step is let's not be afraid. Let's get in connection with someone that maybe knows a little bit more about AI. For those of you watching, here's my little plug. If you need help, call me. Penny will get you in contact with me. You can reach out to me on socials at Ron Speaks Out on Instagram, TikTok, um, which I hope we have time to talk about TikTok
I
before,
know.
but we'll say that. First steps are like let's not be afraid. There's so much that it can do for folks. There's automation. There's different ways that it can really make your life easier. People are built different. I am a visionary. I'm a communicator. I am not administrative at all, right? So I have AI do a lot of my admin task, a lot of following up with stuff, making sure that I'm in the right place at the right time, keeping up with all the little notes from this and that because I'm a disaster. I would have post-it notes all over the place. I care about people more than process. I care about relationship over results. And that's really cute until you're trying to run a whole entire business. And so
Yeah.
I think ultimately AI is going to be our friend. There's so much that's going on with it, and there's a lot of companies out there that are lying to us, telling us that they have AI solutions that can help us. There's one company, I'm not going to say their name, but if you see an ad for just $97, just remember that, guys. The $97 people, the
Yeah.
$97 people will give you 70 AI bots that'll do everything for you. That is a scam. The little bots are not going to do anything for you. They're different spaces where you can go and ask questions that you could ask for free to Chat GPT. So I would not approach this as an entrepreneur putting money into something without someone that's maybe done a little bit of research and that knows what they're talking about and expert, although I don't think anyone's an expert, but somebody that knows more than you. I would
Yeah.
definitely look towards some form of AI consultant to help you. Again, if you're looking for somebody, I'd be more than happy to just talk with you about what your goals are and what AI could really do for you. It's not going away. You can get on the train now,
Mhm.
or you can be left at the station. Um,
Mhm.
this is,
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to change the way that we live, the way that we do
I
business.
know I'm watching it in the accounting industry and the word on the street is like if you're not on the AI train, you're going to be left behind in the accounting industry.
Yeah.
It's just the profit margin is not there to survive without it. I I talk to older CPAs all the time that are still, they still want their desktop software. They still are working with
Mm.
paper. They are ignorant of the new softwares that are out there and the new systems,
Oh no.
and they are being left behind. And it's
Mm.
really a tragedy to sit back and watch. I know. So in my industry, I'm following thought leaders like Jason Statz is like leading the charge in the accounting industry and how AI is. I just read a post. He was like, "Here's what's going to happen in 2025. 12 things that are going to happen in the accounting industry, and like I think 8 of them had to do with AI.
Yeah.
Um, it's just changing how we do our jobs." And you're so right. Like, um, people are still going to connect with a person, but make no mistake, I have AI in the background. I'm going to be talking to you, Ron, about like what more can I do? Like, how can I? Because I'm ignorant. Like, I use it to help me. I use ChatGPT and I subscribe to the professional so I can make it in files and folders and everything.
Yeah.
It's $20 a month. And I make
That's
sure
the
not to
best
give
one of
it
your whole
any
life right
confidential
now.
information. I don't
Yeah.
give it any confidential information. I don't give it any information about my clients, their bank accounts, their socials, their EINs, nothing like that, because it is not a secure world,
Yeah.
any more than anything on the internet. So I'm just making that statement so that somebody doesn't go out there and be like, I'm going to use it to do my accounting.
Penny
Um,
told you.
but you can, but I do have conversations with it, when I'm looking at an account and when I'm looking at a company's financials. I'll be like, hey, let's say this is going to happen for 6 months, and then they increase their prices by 5%. Help me project that, and it'll help me project that and like where cash flow will go. And you can just start having those kinds of conversations. Whereas um, we used to be building Excel spreadsheets. I
Mm.
don't build any Excel spreadsheets. I'm talking to AI about it now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think, yeah, things that we used to spend hours and hours and hours on, it can figure out like that.
Yeah,
And it's real interesting. Like while you were talking, I was thinking about a post I saw recently online. It was talking about that this is a season of boomers really letting go of their businesses. And
yeah,
so many people in the past, I hear story after story about my uncle had a dry cleaner and nobody in the family wanted to take it over. And so it just closed down. He didn't get anything for it. He was leasing the building, his equipment, like all this.
yeah,
It's like, why wouldn't somebody stand up and say, hey, listen, your time, bro, is over. It's time for you to sell what you have to the next generation and let them run with it. And so for anyone that's like, I mean, I think that's a word for 2025. If you're dead set on still using your desktop little Excel spreadsheets to do accounting, sell your business to Penny now. She'll make payments.
yeah,
Okay, I'll help her make
yeah,
payments. Like,
yeah,
it's time for us to move forward. The ways of business that have been for a long period, they're just done. And you're either going to hop in or hop out. And hopping out is probably a lot of people's best bet over the next couple of years. It's time, anyways, for folks my age. Like Penny and I discovered that we're both 45. I know you can't
that's
believe
right.
that from looking at us, but
Right.
it's time for us to rise up and start taking over
Yes.
like some of these things. Like
Yeah.
our generation needs to rise up, take over businesses, and give the boomers the rest that they deserve. Like they should be on
Yeah.
a beach somewhere, girl, with a little umbrella in their car.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is every entrepreneur's dream. You're building a business not just to support yourself. You don't want to give yourself another job. You want to build a business to sell it. That is
Yeah,
ultimately the dream. Because otherwise, if you can't sell it, if it can't run without you, then all you have is a job. And we don't want a job. We want to be entrepreneurs. We want to own a business. So,
for
so
sure.
good. I asked you, Ron. I'm on Facebook and I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm in the like top two. No, I'm in the top 1% of people in my industry on LinkedIn because I share on a regular basis. And I did not realize. So, for those of you that do not know LinkedIn, like I have a business coach that has really helped me with LinkedIn because most people on LinkedIn are lurkers. They are not content creators.
Mm,
And I am determined that God put me on this earth to create, not consume. And so I'm in the top 1%. Like if you pull the stats, like people in my industry, just because I share on a regular basis,
wow.
it kills me because it's like the most intimidating platform in the universe because there's all these smart people. And if I go look at it, I think, well, they know more than me, or that, like there's no room for me. And it's just not true. And and I've made a lot of connections in Facebook. But we were talking about, and I just recently started a YouTube channel because my husband's amazing, and I know nothing about YouTube. I do not consume videos. But it's on there, you know. But we were talking about TikTok, and I said, I'm pretty sure I'm too old for TikTok, and I know like my family and like my nieces and nephews like are on TikTok and Snapchat. Is it still a thing? I don't know if it's still a
It
thing.
is. It is. A lot
And
of people are on Snapchat. Yeah.
I'm over here with the old people on Facebook.
So it's so funny. So she said that to me, and I said, "So how old are you?" And she said, 45. It says, I'm 45. I'm on TikTok. I think TikTok is an excellent place for folks to really have their voice heard. There's so many other places that we feel silenced, or maybe that our voice doesn't matter. And for the next generation that's coming up, they want to be heard, right?
Yep.
And TikTok has given that to them. And so as an entrepreneur, whenever I put anything serious on TikTok, I don't get much response. But I get to go on and be goofy and have fun and share some of my views about the world. And folks eat that up. And so
Yeah.
I think it's still a great place to just network and to be heard. And
So
I,
is the US government not banning it? Are we
Daddy says he's going to save it.
Oh, okay.
So we'll
Papa
see
Trump?
what Papa Trump. We'll see what Daddy does when he gets in office. He says he's going to save it because the young folks have really used it. So does it need reform? Yes. Like, do we
Okay.
need like we're not going to have this podcast hijacked by the Chinese, but are the Chinese operating it and spying on us? Yes. But I will say this: if you think that people are not spying on you on every social platform that you use, I dare anyone on this podcast to go read the terms and conditions of Facebook, Instagram, any of them, and then come back and say that TikTok is the enemy. They're all the enemy. We just have to choose the one that we have to choose the devil we can deal with.
We're keeping our friends close and our enemies closer, I
Yes,
guess.
yes.
Can you run a business without social media?
I wouldn't want to. I don't think it would be prudent. I just did a TikTok a couple of days ago talking about like number one branding tips. Use the free advertisement that's right in front of you. Build a brand and then push it on. It's free advertisement. There's other people that are literally paying for the platform for you to go talk about your business, what you
Yep.
offer. I mean, it's a free place to go and get things. I don't know many businesses, unless you're a big box retailer, that could survive without social media. I think it's, I mean, obviously, like we all have our
Yep.
warm networks, and if you're in a niche business and you can survive off of that, that's great. But if you want to market and you want a great free marketing tool, get on Facebook, get on Instagram, get on TikTok, get on LinkedIn. These folks are literally providing a platform for you to use your voice to reach
Yep.
your desired customer, client, like whatever it is. And all you have to do is sign up and work the system. So,
Yeah. And it's just about recognition. It's just about remembering that name. So you might be doing marketing stuff outside of there or doing networking events and stuff like where you're actually selling to your ideal client and your
yeah,
audience on Facebook might not be your ideal client, but when they have an uncle that says, "Hey, I need a roof." "Oh, I just saw Ron posted about roofs the other day."
yeah.
Like, I mean, just they just it's just knowing somebody that knows somebody and then just being continually in front of them so that they remember your name when they're in that room and they talk about you
Another
in a
thing
good
I'll
way.
say about that, Penny, and then we've been on here for 40 minutes. This was like a
I
15.
know.
We should probably wrap up. But
We
another
should too.
thing that I'll say about that is I was recently working with a big company that dealt with a lot of government contracts, and they were trying to see the value in posting on social media, because it was like our customer is not on social media. And I'm like, I dare you to think about this possibility: the next contract that you need someone's swing vote on to get for tens of millions of dollars, they're going to research you, they're going to find you on social media, because that's what happens when you start looking for people. And if you've told your story in the right way on social platforms about what you do, you're going to sway them. So it's a
Yeah.
storytelling platform. We're all trying to tell our story and trying to be seen and heard. And it's like, hey, are do you want to align with me or not? So even if you're not going to target your like customer through your reach and through your engagement, your customer eventually is going to be like, I'm going to look up 1610 bookkeeping. Oh, look, here's her Facebook. Oh, she has a podcast. She talks about, she's an entrepreneur that just, oh my gosh, I want to do business with Penny. Look, every
Yeah.
picture she has, she's smiling. So it's a great tool and everyone needs
Yeah.
it. It is,
Yep.
it's just where we're at. So you can use
Yeah.
it or die. Hey, Penny, I've got to
Thank
sign
you.
off of here. I've got one
Yeah.
thing I want to share. Um, I really want folks to pause and pray for us here in Dallas, Texas. If you don't live in Dallas, Texas, you
Yes.
won't understand. Penny and I were talking about this before. This is very serious. They predict that we will either get zero point 0.1 inches of snow all the way up to 18 inches of snow. And it doesn't matter if one flake falls, if only one flake falls, this city will shut down. Nobody will go to work. Nobody will go to school. The grocery stores will be closed. One flake. There will be pileups all over our highways. Our EMS, firefighters, police will be
Pray.
overworked. One flake. I've got to go grocery shopping so that we can make sure we have enough food to make it through the blizzard.
There's no toilet paper anywhere. Oh, Jesus, take the wheel. It's so true. Thank you, Ron. I had a blast today. Um, I will, if you're watching this, you're watching it on my socials, I'll tag Ron. And so you'll be able to contact him, get in touch with him if you need some AI help, introduction to the robots, and some, or marketing help or anything like that. Ron,
Yeah.
I so appreciated it. You are a joy. I can't wait till the next time we talk.
All right. Thanks so much, Penny. God bless you.
You too. Bye bye.